Alright everyone, I don't know if you'll have seen the video I did on Isak and how signing him could give us a bit of a problem, especially if we're involving players in a cash plus player swap deal. Now the thing they mention is the homegrown rule in the Premier League. If you don't know what that is, I've been doing some research before doing this. So, after the January 2025 transfer window closed on 3rd of February, each Premier League club will have to submit to the Premier League a squad list ahead of the next round of matches, which start on the 14th of February. The squads list must follow certain rules. Now, the dates will probably change for the summer, but the rule, as far as I'm aware, will be staying the same. Each club squad must contain no more than 17 players who do not fulfil the homegrown HGP criteria. The rest of the squad, up to a total of 25 players, must be homegrown. Now this has come from the official Premier League website, okay? Now what is a homegrown player? A homegrown player means a player who, irrespective of nationality or age, has been registered with any club affiliated to the Football Association or the Football Association of Wales for a period, continuous or not, of 3 entire seasons or 36 months before his 21st birthday, or at the end of the season which he turns 21. A club's under 21 players are not included on the 25-man squad lists and are eligible to play in the Premier League. So Dean Huijsen, for example, would qualify as the club's under 21 technically player because he's 19. I believe he is. When's he 20? Let's have a look. Turns 20 in April. So he turns 20 this season and 21 next season. So if we signed him, he would be classed as a homegrown player. For the 24-25 Premier League season, this is for an under 21 player. Under 21 players will have to be born on or after 1st of January 2003. So for the case of Dean Huijsen, centre back, 14th of April 2005. If we look at Milas Kerkez, 7th of November 2003. Milas Kerkez would constitute as an under 21 player. To understand more what squad lists look like, check the lists below that were submitted by clubs after the closure of the summer 24 transfer window. Let's have a look at these. This might explain why Isak may be a bit of an issue. So let's have a look at the squad lists. Okay. Where's ours? Got this. Right. Man City, here we Liverpool, okay. 25 squad players homegrown. Trent Alexander-Arnold is homegrown. Joe Gomez was homegrown. Thomas Hill was homegrown. Jaros is homegrown. Curtis Jones homegrown. Gallagher homegrown. Tyler Morton was homegrown. So there, out of that 22-man squad, we had Trent, Joe Gomez, Thomas Hill, Jaros, Curtis Jones, Gallagher, Morton. But we had, and they've got the list of all the under 21s there. Now, there's some mentions here about the homegrown rules. But you can't have 17 overseas players. Okay? So let's go back to that squad. Okay? That 22-man squad. So we're going to lose Trent. Okay? So we can't add a home. We need to add a homegrown player to replace him. Alright? We could lose Luis Diaz, but then we could add a foreign non-homegrown player there. Now, Gomez and Quansah are players linked with an Isak move. But the problem is, Isak, I don't believe, would be classed as... Now, I'm very sure Isak isn't classed as homegrown for Newcastle. I'm sure he's on... Let's have a look. Isak is not classed as homegrown. So, if we didn't get rid of Diaz, right, and we used Cash and Quansah and Gomez to bring Isak in, we couldn't get him because we've got too many non-homegrown players. Now you see where there's a problem. This homegrown rule. Now I've done some, though, if we put, and then we can't say Nunes because Nunes may not want to go, but if we sold Nunes, there's a slot spare, so to speak. I'm sorry if I'm not explaining this very well, but now if I look at, this is Anfield, I'm just trying to explain this best I can. And they mentioned here, Kelleher and Morton both expected to leave, and both are in that squad as well. According to this is Anfield, and Gomez. We've got Nat Phillips, Reece Williams, Owen Beck, and Ramsey. Are they part of our squad? Would they be part of them? Nat Phillips could be. But if they go, now it says here, Bradley is now eligible. We have Quansah and Elliott, assuming Quansah stays, and Elliott stays. Harvey Davies and Lucas Stevenson. Just to keep. Now they give it options. Frimpong for right back. We've got to have 8 homegrown players. So if I go to this list, we could have, next season, if we're going to have a minimum of 8, we could have Thomas Hill, Jaros, Curtis Jones, three there. So they mentioned Bradley would be eligible, so that would be 4. We'd have to keep Quansah, I think, which would be 5. Bringing Frimpong in would be 6. He spent 9 years in the Man City Academy, you see, that's how he's classed as homegrown. So 6. I'm seeing if there's any other players linked. Yeah, Conor Bradley, Gerald Quansah and Harvey Elliott would be too old to be considered under 21. So if we mentioned Frimpong, right? I know this is going from back to focus, but this is really hard to go through, and I'm trying to explain it myself to you and why Isaac can't be done because of the homegrown. We need homegrown players. So we know Trent's going to be going. We're expecting Kelleher to go. We're expecting possibly Joe Gomez to go. So in that case, our homegrown players, if we bring Frimpong in would be. I've just lost this list. Thomas Hill, Jaros, Curtis Jones, Bradley, Elliott, Quansah, Frimpong. We'd need one more. Even then, we can't bring Isak in because we still need a homegrown player. We don't need the 4th goalkeeper. Now they mentioned homegrown players we could sign. Mark Gahey, which would, if we brought him in, that would be 8. Who else did they mention? Lewis Holton, Anthony Gordon, Adam Wharton, Jamie Gittins, we've been linked with Semenyo and Liam Delap. So you can see why there are problems there. Now Robertson is classed as non-homegrown. Okay. And I think because of the under 21, I think what's Hewson and Kirkes, are they in the under 21s or are they classed? Did Bournemouth class them as under 21s? Yeah, they're using them as the under 21s, and both would qualify next season. You can see the problems we have. Bringing in, say we don't bring in Kirkes, we go for Anthony Robertson. Let's have a look at him again. He was at, his senior career, his youth career was, he was at Everton from 2008 to 2019, and then Fulham. So Anthony Robertson would be homegrown. And there, that adds another homegrown spot. So that's why Anthony Robertson would be a better choice the Milas Kirkers, maybe if you definitely needed a homegrown place in your squad. There's a lot to look at, there's a lot to discuss, there's a lot to pick through, and it's not, I'm sorry if I haven't explained this very well, but it's not just a case of getting a couple of players and cash it in for Isak, because it may not be doable because of this homegrown rule. Because what if we have to bring in other players that are non-homegrown for other positions that we need? It's another reason I would have a call for bringing in Liam Delap and getting rid of Jota, because Liam Delap would be homegrown, Jota isn't, and that's another spot in this squad that's a homegrown, and there's your backup striker. It's doable, but you've just got to be very careful, and I completely forgot about the homegrown rule. I had completely forgotten about it. But there you go. I hope this makes sense, and I do apologise if it hasn't. But basically, the Trent leaving messes up the homegrown quota, and that's another reason why signing Isak and putting players in a deal causes a problem. The only way Isak works is if you sell Nunes a straight cash price to another club. Say we could get 80 million for Nunes, and then use his non-homegrown spot for Isak. But then again, you've got to factor in, would FSG pay another 70 million? If we could get him for 100 million, or say 110, say offered 30 extra, then the deal is probably more doable. But with the figures quoted for Isak and the homegrown stuff, and possibly needing to strengthen elsewhere, it makes it a lot harder to sign him. Alright, thank you very much, take care.